Hello and welcome to the fourth and final week of the Dwell art journaling series. This week, during the in-person session, we mostly spent time playing in our journals and finishing up pages we had started over the first 3 weeks. For this final video, I would like to add a little bit more to it by overviewing some of what we've talked about in this series while I decorate the cover of my journal. Before we begin, I do want to share our focus verse one more time, Philippians 4:8, which says, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." In the first week, I introduced to you how I often like to scribble a prayer on the page as a starting point. And I neglected to talk about that or mention again really over the next couple weeks, but I kind of want to return to it here because it is an important component. If you don't have a prayer at the beginning, you can write a verse or words from a verse. And I just think it's a wonderful and effective way to set your mind on God's word as you create. I think that my prayer for the cover of my journal, since I'm just going to use it as an example, I'm probably just going to say thank you for this series because it was really wonderful for me. As you can see, it's very scribbly. It's not really meant to be read, although, yeah, I don't think even I could read that, even though I'm the one that wrote it. So you can write a prayer to just start. And it's just such a good way to, did I already say this? Maybe. It's okay. If you don't have a prayer at the beginning, you can write a verse or just the words. Yes, I did say that. But it's a wonderful and effective way to set your mind on God's word as you create. Just really settle it right down in the beginning to just turn towards Him. Sometimes maybe the words you want to write, or maybe the words to write, don't come to you until you've been through the process of a page or of your creative session. If this is the case, you can always write your prayer or verse or words at a later or final layer. But I do think writing something at the beginning is a good way to encourage the transition into God's presence. For me, this is such an important part of my creativity, that the part where I connect with God and have hopefully enter His presence, that I can connect there with my Creator. He has given me these gifts and these blessings, and by addressing Him at the start, I am hopeful that I can better make the process about Him and full of His goodness. So I'm just going to do a really quick little cover decoration here. This is one of the papers I made in the first week, so I'm just going to include that. Just going to rip a few things up here. This is one of the magazine pages that I selected in week 2. I'm just going to glue these down kind of in the front. Just super simple little final project here. Nope, I think I'm going to do that. A lot of times when I do a cover, if I decorate my cover, embellish my cover, I kind of do it to like the bottom right. But you are welcome to do it wherever. This glue stick is basically gone, so we're going to get a new one. So then, let's see. Then I kind of just, I also have this figure. I had another one without the flower on it that I think I'll use. Actually, I'm just going to cut this here, figure out kind of where she's going to go. And then I have this word, which is actually kind of too big, but I'm going to cut that down in a second. Kind of figure out my placement here first. Normally, I don't think I would be this picky. I think I want, yeah, something kind of like that. So let's just go for it. I often don't decorate my journals unless it's kind of a thematic journal like what we've been doing. We've been doing something in particular. It's been for a series. It's been focused on a certain verse. But so if I'm doing that, then I do like to do a little cover on the front, kind of as a reminder of, hey, this is what this journal includes. Let's put her on there. And we'll kind of figure out these little letters. These are kind of big. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut them out real quick with a little bit of the kind of neutral border there, because otherwise I think it will blend in too much. But I can also go back and kind of give them, let them stick out a little bit more. Yeah, I think I like that better than the whole thing. So when I'm done doing this cover, I'm just going to do a really quick flip through of my journal. And I just want to say right in the front, right at the beginning, that I did not fill all my pages yet in this session, in this series. I still have plenty of pages left to fill. And maybe you're the same. And maybe you're thinking that you won't be able to fill them with these same processes over time. And that's totally okay. I hope that you've been able to take notes and that you've gotten something out of it. But if you don't think you can fill the pages, I do have an alternative that I may turn to if I feel like I'm not finishing it with these creative processes, or if I feel like maybe my dwelling on these ideas is kind of at an end for now. And that idea is to use it as a gratitude journal, gratitude list. Just finish it with a gratitude list. I hope we're all be able to continue in these creative processes and just keep playing and keep seeking freedom and joy in it. But the last part of our focus verse says, if anything is praiseworthy, and I think praise and gratitude go hand in hand. So I think that if you go to the end of this verse and you're seeking things that are praiseworthy, you're looking for them in your life, that I think that's really wonderful. And writing them down is a great way to show God, hey, I see it. Thank you. And doing it in a place where you've already tried to connect with him and be creative with him, I just think is a really great thing. So they almost fit a little better there. Just gonna kind of sneak them in there. Kind of towards the bottom because she doesn't have legs all the way there, so very good. I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna go for it. So yeah, on the topic of gratitude, if you don't think you're going to use up your pages with more art journaling, use them for a gratitude list. And if you want inspiration about making a gratitude list, it's super simple. You can just, write down things you notice in your life that you're thankful for, good or bad, lessons learned, anything. But if you want some inspiration about it, I highly recommended the book 1,000 Gifts by Anne Voskamp. I often read it this time of year. She just really relates how fruitful a gratitude list can be and how it may even change your life. And I think that noticing and recording what is praiseworthy is such a powerful way to renew your mind, which we've talked about over this series about creativity. And it can really remind you of the goodness of God, and just get you into a good headspace. Get some of the worldly junk out and just let you see, no matter what society says, how good there are things in your day and in your life. Even if sometimes the things that we have to be thankful for don't necessarily look like gifts at first. Sometimes that can be really hard, but it can also maybe be more powerful in the end. All right, so there we go. Super simple cover. I may go back and add a little mark making, a little something more, but generally, yeah, I just want to keep it simple. And I love that I included so many elements from all the 3 weeks, the papers we made, some of the things, an image that we picked out in week 2, sheet music, which has just always been important to me in background. And then our important word of dwelling on these things. So to finish off, I'm just going to do, this is a really quick video this week because like I said, I didn't have a lot of words other than to encourage you to just keep playing. And in the in-person session, we just kind of played and shared the time together creating. So I just hope that you'll take the time, if you are able, to fill these pages with continued dwelling on this verse, and that you can use these processes in your connection, your creative time with God. So I'm just going to do a quick flip through here. So again, this was my swatch page. In the beginning, we kind of chose some colors if we wanted to stick with them. And I actually ended up doing that mostly throughout the book, which is unusual for me. So again, neutral background, put the swatch down, and then I was inspired by one of the other people who had done kind of a multicolored thing through a stencil, and I really like how that turned out. So this was from when we did our cards. This was my practice one that I went through just to kind of get an idea what we would work on. These are some I kind of worked on finishing them up a little bit during the class, during the in-person sessions. This just kind of shows a couple ways that you can attach your tags with Scotch tape so that you can fold them over and write something on the back, a prayer specific to the word, or anything you'd like to write. This one is just glued down, just, put right in there. This one's Scotch tape again. This is the napkin collage that I did one week and shared with you. This one is done with staples, which I didn't love, but I will recommend that if you use this technique, that you kind of bend yourself a little spine almost there so that it folds a little bit more nicely. These two are just glued in. I just really like the way they look just like that, with my usual quick background in the back of neutral collage with some paint and some mark making. This one, at the last session, we were just playing and working. I had forgotten my Scotch tape, so I decided to make some little hinges here with just some piece of collage paper. So I just folded it. This one I folded the edge, and then just put a piece of collage paper here and a piece of collage paper here. This one I didn't fold it, so it just goes all the way to the edge. But it's the same thing, just glue it up over. Adds a little something extra. I actually like it this way a little better, kind of pulling this in. And then the background again is just free play, just going with all the collage papers that I made, or some of them that I made, and then just kind of doing a wash over it to just kind of, make it a little less busy. This is one of the practice runs that I did for week 3. Think on these things. The thought garden with the face. And then this is the thought garden with the garden with the flowers. And I put my words to think on in the stems. They're growing up into such beautiful things. And then this was the one that I did in the video for week 3 for the thought garden. And that's it. That's what I've got. You can see I have quite a few pages left here. I do think that I'm going to try to work focused on the Dwell verse a little bit longer, but then I'll probably just do a gratitude list, and especially with November right around the corner. It's just something I really especially like to focus on, even though, and I always hope that it will extend further along than just the month of November, but the word Thanksgiving does come up a lot and keeps it fresh in our minds. So I thank you all for watching this series, and I look forward to sharing of my creativity and processes in the future. And I just wish you lots of happy creating and connecting with your creator.